Hey everyone, Unity, beautiful Saturday. Um, with this live, as you can see, let's have a look at the markets in investment, if you will. Having said that, a little bit of my background. I was a personal investor, and having said this, I went into the full depths of the markets to the very bottom of the dynamics and mechanics to know how it worked. Uh, Part of I being, let's say back then, a sophisticated and most prudent and absolute uh, investor striving for perfection. To be able to do that, I had to understand how the markets worked so I would be successful. So, having said that, on my journey of entering into the markets as a trader and investor for myself, to the time that I exited the markets, that journey, and I go downward because it was a downward journey into the depths of how everything worked. I learned pretty much it all to know what it was. And, you know, in the beginning, I would have what you would call speculative assumptions. However, I always wish to validate and accreditate things. And, I even back then, I dug for the truth and the full understanding of how things worked. And I did that with the markets and investments. And, not only with the financial markets and investments and how money works, there is also the legal side of it and law that plays an important part and is interconnected into the financial markets and also connects the governments as well. It's all interconnected. The way the monetary and legal systems work and worked. So, during the course, of several years of investing and researching and learning myself, if you will, uh, I need to say that, I'm a top expert on the markets and how it works. But is not, this live today is not about how to succeed in the markets. It's actually about revealing the truth of the markets and what the markets are. So I did not write anything down, for I know this in the head and in the consciousness and through experience. So I did not write a script or a point form, if you will, to follow. I'm just letting it flow and come out. So I was in Canada when I was investing. So I dealt mainly with the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange, and the government of Canada and the security regulators, if you will. Uh, you know, Within law and within Canada, within their legal system, and also the U.S., um, I need to say that misleading statements are actually, it's fraud, it's illegal, and it's unlawful. Misleading statements. And when they are proven, then it is fraud and it is unlawful and it is illegal. Now, one misleading statement that I'd seen, and perhaps it's still there in Canada, is with the government of Canada and the securities regulators of the stock markets promoting and saying to investors on their websites that the markets are kept fair and equal. Now, this is not and also to create a fair trading place, if you will. Now, having said that, this is not true. It is a misleading statement by the government of Canada, by the securities regulators, but not only Canada, all around the world. It is the same thing. And why it is a misleading statement is because there is the actual approved manipulation in the markets, which is easily proved, but not only the manipulation, unlawful things as well. And it is the control of those who have the most money in the market, which manipulates the market. So that takes out the fairness in the equal playing space of the market. You know, I could accreditate what I'm saying further, but you get the point with it. Now, it is important to bring this up because, you know, just to name a couple tactics of the markets and how they actually work. Stock markets are designed to rise and crash, but the beauty of it with their system is when the markets rise, they make money. When it crashes, they make more money. They create more money. And how they do this is the shorting techniques of where they fabricate stock as well. So they actually profit more when the stocks are declining. But when you look at this, so, you know, let's say you are a bank that you create unlimited money, and that's what banks do. So you're a bank that owns, let's say, the stock exchange like the TSX. You're in Canada, which was the Maple Group, if you will. Let's say you're one of those banks. You have access to unlimited funds, what you constantly use to manipulate and steer the stock exchange. Now, with this and in doing this, during the practice of steering, let's say the indices and the amount of ups and downs in a day, when you're a bank, what you actually do, you also are a market maker. And what a market maker does is create phantom shares on a daily basis and also short stocks, which is very important. And when they short stocks, what they actually do is take up what they call a short position on a stock. The stock drops and they make a great amount of money on it. To keep it simple for viewers, that just to keep it simple. But the point of this is that every action in the stock market is always orchestrated and coordinated through the news that they put out and worldwide events. These are their steering mechanisms for the stock markets. So, you know, they'll give a period of good hope and ones see their investments or pensions climbing. Then you always see the drop. And who gets affected by the drop are all of the retail investors, the pensioners, all of this. That money gets creamed off of what was built up during a stock market raising. But what occurs when it drops? The pensioners, the regular people lose, but when it drops, the banks actually make their most money, and it's why they do it with the stocks. Not only do they make their most money with it, it also provides their other opportunity to create money, to interject it into their bank accounts. So it's actually not a shorting technique about the stocks that they actually take the money from someone else. That money actually vanishes, but what they're allowed to do is to create even more money in their accounts to constantly control, steer the markets, and manipulate it. And these things I say freely, and all of it is validated for anyone that wishes to waste time now to dig and to look for it, to verify it. And why I say at this point for anyone, I suggest don't waste time at it, because we're creating the new, as everyone here knows. And in creating the new, that old way is over. But again, I do not watch the markets any longer, because I know what they are and what they're built on was mainly, it's built fully on deceit and corruption, but it's designed that way also to give the people in their investments, in their pension funds, to give them a little bit of hope. But again, it's all the illusion. And it's at them maintaining control over the people. So it's a nefarious, insidious acts, and the governments, the banks, the regulators, they're all part of it. So there is that. That is the honest, look at the markets. Now, when you also look at the cryptocurrencies as well, what you see in any market is the profit in the gain, and that's what one goes in there for. If they're a crypto trader, they're in to trade, to make a profit, to make money. But, with this, when one makes money, when there's a winner, there is also a loser. Someone else somewhere lost. And, is that truly humane? Is it right to, take something from someone else that, makes them feel bad? Let's say if they were a loser on the stock side of it, on the crypto side, look at what it does. Look at how it makes them feel. But also look at the energy that ones are creating. Sure, they feel good, but look what they're doing. The winners feel good, but look at what they're doing to the others. Is that really humane? Is that virtuous? Is it moral? Is it ethical? No, it's not. That is the answer to that. It is not. And this is also one of the reasons why it does not go into the future. Having said this, like blockchain, crypto, tokens, all of this, it did begin, let's say, with some merit in some virtue. But again, these get infiltrated by the banks. Like Bitcoin is a notorious example at this time, what occurred with it. And you see the steady drop. It's because these banks in the old system gets in, controls, and manipulates it. And also you have all of the, let's say, crypto traders that also get infected with this greed and selfishness mentality to benefit. And also they get into fear. So when you have these crypto ones out there all over the place, some of you call them spammers and scammers, at trying to lure and entice people into putting their money in to actually buy their stock or their crypto at a reasonable price. So this is what the others do out of fear to try to protect themselves. But by doing that, it's trickery, luring, and enticement involved, which is illegal, it's unlawful, and it's immoral, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So again, with GPMS and the future, none of these investment markets and capitalism, none of that is there. And as a result, because none of that is there, there is not this misery caused by what the financial markets does. And, if you want to look on a wide scale with pension funds, and we'll take Canada again as a good example, the pension funds there, time after time, they would rise up, then they would drop the value in it. And look what that does really to anyone, on a pension. Really, they had contributed to society all of their life, and they should be enjoying a good forward pension, not only from their own pension that they made, but the government is supposed to give pensions as well. But one of the government's excuses is that, we cannot give you enough to be comfortably, because it's part of the pension fund and it keeps going down. But the governments and the banks are all in collusion to cause this suppression, compression, control upon humanity once again. So that's what it was all designed for. And, at these times, it is breaking down. And with the GPMS, it's just the one full credit system for all. There is no accounting. There is no reason to profit or gain because you have more than enough. You have a full comfort level all around the world, and that's why this is so important. So, and this is where we're going very quickly, and every day more and more began to realize what needs to be done and what the systems had caused in the world. So, this is the honest look at it, at the markets. And the honest look at the markets is it's all fraud, it's all corrupt, it's all deceit, it's all trickery, it's all greed, it's all selfishness. Now, let's look at the brighter side of what GPMS is. But before I go to GPMS, we need to look at wealth disparity, inequality, separatism. Those are things of the financial markets and investments today. So on the opposite side of that, GPMS is harmonious. Everyone is equal. Everyone is equal in wealth, in stature. Everyone has their own self-worth. They do not need to work for the old system any longer, like let's say 40 hours a week typically. Now, they don't need to do that. They have their self-worth and also their divine dignity, or their self-dignity is back within them, that they have their decision, their choice of decisions, which has been with the old system taken away from them. What GPMS does is I need to say it never really was there, so what GPMS does is activates it now fully for each and every one. Your right to choose, your right of decisions, which is just one thing that GPMS does. So, with this, everyone in the markets, and I know there's, let's say, financially well-off ones that watch also what I put out and what I do, and there are good people as well that are very well off, and I call these the angels set up for this time to assist humanity as well as we transition towards the GPMS. But having said this, what I strongly advise for all, if you have money, digital money, and digital money is any investment that you have that is in any bank account or trading account, or if the figures is digital, if you have a 401k or an RSP, where you look to see what it's worth, that's online, and usually, and well, that's where it's contained. It is a digital number. Now, it's important that I'm mentioning this because in these great times, the governments, if you will, the banks, all of that is in a huge state of fear. And they are in such a state of fear to maintain control over humanity. Some of the recent desperations is to raise, if you will, your cost of living like 300-fold, 200-fold, an unprecedented inflation, if you will, never seen before. But it's done intentionally through their acts to maintain control over ones. So, having said this, with your digital money in your accounts, whether it be a banking account, investment account, online crypto wallets, none of this is truly yours. And right at this moment, you are so vulnerable that you may not realize how vulnerable you are if they are to shut off the switch. They, meaning the elitists, the less than 1%, the governments and the bankers that own and operate the entire digital financial system and internet, because they own and are in control of it. So, you are at mercy to them at every point in time, as long as they're in control. And you're seeing it by what they're doing. Look at the U.S., your rent going up triple, The lower classes cannot find it, getting forced to move out of the places they're staying. Like, that's absolutely sick, preposterous, and inhumane. But look who's doing it. And none of this really should be occurring. GPMS is the absolute ultimate solution, and it's here. And if governments and leaders worldwide really had your best interests in mind, what we're doing with GPMS, they could do it in 2 days. But it's not their intent. It's not what they wish to do. The elitists are a very small fringe minority that presently has control over the majority, until the majority all unites and comes together as one, like what we're doing with GPMS. Then that minority no longer controls things and causes all of the misery, suppression upon people, all of the lack, that minority of the elitists that causes 15,000 children to die daily around the planet because of their systems and how it creates misery, lack, sickness. So when the 99% come together, that's all over. It cannot exist anymore when the 99% said, no, it's not acceptable. So around the world, you have about 200 so-called leaders of each country. Like 200, that's no match to 8 billion people. So everyone come on and get on board and know that the old system is complex. It was created that way. It was designed that way. The more stringency and the complexity was made to confuse you and dissuade you from ever successfully getting ahead financially, and also from ever achieving a rightful justice, because both their monetary system and their legal systems were designed to fully suppress you and control you. And believe me, as all of you know, these ones have no compassion, for if they did, they would not be creating all of these nonsensical, inhumane things for humanity. Now, this is supposed to be more honesty about the markets. What I suggest, any of you that have investments and any of you that has considerable money in any bank accounts, when we go to GPMS, let's say just if, and before going to full GPMS, that the banks and the governments, where they control the present digital monetary system, they can shut that all down in the blink of an eye. They can wipe your accounts to zero before we get to GPMS and the people taking the rightful ownership. So having said this, and this is for each one that it may resonate with, I strongly suggest for you to at least have physical cash out somewheres, something that will get you through perhaps a few weeks or longer if they shut all of your access down. And it's important to have cash, not gold, not silver, any of this. You're not going to go to a store that's open when there's no credit cards or nothing working, and going to exchange gold or silver for some food. That's nonsense. It's physical cash, and have some of your physical cash out is what I strongly suggest. And, if you're going to do good things also for humanity, if you have considerable money in, I suggest, get it out, bury it somewheres, because the physical cash will be and more easily redeemed into the new system. A digital count, it can vanish. Physical cash cannot as easily vanish. It is a material, tangible thing. Digital money, digital investments are not tangible, meaning you don't have that actual number right at your fingertips. And because you don't control that, it can be taken away instantly. However, if you have physical cash, you have it buried somewhere, you are the only one that knows where it's at. You are the controller of the destiny of that cash to be utilized by you in whatever way. But you are not the controller of any digital numbers on a screen. You are not. And it's all because who owns and controls that screen that your numbers are on. And it's not you, and you know that. And you know that the governments and the banks that are actually against you are the ones that control and actually own your money digitally. So this is an important statement. Once again, I'm as blunt, I believe, as I can be, in what I'm saying. So we are in the most glorious times, yes, but there is a transitional period. How chaotic that may get, how suppressed you may get until we get there, I cannot tell you that. But we're already seeing the indications and the signs of that suppression. And that suppression and compression is divinely allowed to occur, where ones will become inundated with their cost of living going up 300% overnight, so that they make a choice and stand now for the new world, for the new deliverance for humanity. So you're seeing the indicators. You're seeing with the food, you're seeing what's occurring with governments buying off farmers so they don't grow food. And I could go on and on with so many indicators right now that shows you, what type of time you're in, and I don't need to preach that, I know. So what's the whole point of this live? The whole point is to be more conscientious and meticulous of what actual money you have access to right now, for we are going into a very definite, perhaps a little short chaotic period. I cannot tell you that. However, what I can say is we are divinely smoothing the transition into the new the best as we can to limit violence and chaos as we transition forward. However, it's each one's responsibility to be prudent and to have your discipline with assuring that you have enough, and it's a wise thing to get your money out of the investments, out of the markets. To my knowledge, I didn't look, but what I'm told, they're plummeting. And you know what's occurring? They just can go down to zero in the blink of an eye. And then you got nothing to exchange in the new because your digital count has been wiped out. And if you need a little bit, in the new, everything is given to you. You don't readily need it. But getting to this new, you may need it. So it's a wise decision of having cash out, ample cash, and whatever you may feel to get out. It's your own guidance and what you feel good with. So everything is corrupt in the past. It's all fraudulent. It's null and void. All of the so-called legal systems with governments upon the planet are all null and void. They are unlawful. They are unable to also make any decisions or any judgments in any cases for several reasons. One of the main reasons is all judges are paid by a government worldwide, and they are not volunteer. And because of that, it creates a bias, a conflict of interest that it disables them in their ability to make a fair decision because they're influenced by their employer. And what occurs with that is because their employer is corrupt as well. So any justice attempts by the people against their governments, because the judge is actually paid by the governments, his first interest is with the government to protect that. And what this does, it renders void and nullifies all of their legal systems. So it's all over with their legal systems and also their monetary systems. And it's all over because the truth is out there. So the truth is becoming more prevalent, spread among the people worldwide. As many of you know, it's in the billions now. So you're seeing, because it's that extensive worldwide, the truth could not be contained, it could not be covered up, it could not be concealed. And it just continues until the rest knows the full truth and the transition to the humane world is done. Nothing stops this. GPMS is this. And any of you with common sense and with a little bit of logic, but all heart, or even a little bit of your heart, you can see what it is. And your most wisest choice right now is for every man, woman, and child, yes, children worldwide, to get your voice registered with everyone else with GPMS. Because this is the majority voice that nothing can go against. And it's divinely supported for this great time of the rapture of deliverance. So, woo! Victory and Mama, Holy Grail, and unity. That's what does it. Love, light, and gratitude. We got this. Have a beautiful day.